I was getting up the table to shake his hand and say, "Hi, my name is I'm Robert. How are you? And nice to meet." And as I'm getting up and I'm getting my hand ready to shake hands, I'm like, "Holy crap! That's." What I wanted to talk about is aging and retirement. I've noticed that I really feel like, as I've been trying to recover from my spinal surgery and adapt to a new, totally different culture, and just generally recover physically and financially, which I've been doing, all of it. I mean, my money's coming back, my health's coming back, all this is great. But what I'm noticing is this massive headwind on everything that I attempt to accomplish. And I think what's happening is it's the aging process. And let me explain. I'm not joking. You can look it up to your own satisfaction. Please do. There's been some research recently announced that when we age a lot around age 40 and around age 60. And I'll give you one guess as to which one's the worst one. And have you noticed that when you don't see somebody for a while, around anywhere from age 50 to 65, you might see them 3 or 4 years later, they're now 62, and it's like, my God, what happened to them? Have you ever? I've had that experience many times. I had one of my best friends that I've known for decades, and I just hadn't seen him for a few years. And I was getting up the table to shake his hand and say, "Hi, my name is I'm Robert. How are you? And nice to meet." And as I'm getting up and I'm getting my hand ready to shake hands, I'm like, "Holy crap, that's so and so." And it just, I mean, I putting my hand out, and then I said, "Hey, buddy," and then I shook his hand like that. But it was a bizarre experience, and that's the most extreme one I've ever seen. I mean, I did not recognize one of my lifelong best friends, but I hadn't seen him in 3 years. But that doesn't happen all the time, but that's not what I'm talking about. But that around age 60 is really rough. And I just had one of my best friends, and his name was Terry, and I'll say it because he's passed on, unfortunately, just recently. We were supposed to retire together. My cottage up in Port Austin, Michigan, just 3 blocks off the beach, this beautiful little cottage I built for my first wife and I. We were supposed to retire up there, spend our summers up there, and just be neighbors with my good buddy Terry and his wife. My point being, he turned, and he's about the 5th friend that I've known this has happened to. He set himself up for this beautiful retirement. He was 63, just easing into his retirement. I want to say at either 63 or 64. His birthday was right in there somewhere. Forgive me, I don't recall exactly. And then he was diagnosed with cancer, and he went within the year. I'll just say that just as another example, my neighbor across the street at the house that I raised my children in, kind of the main home that we all lived in for 20 years. But across the street was this guy. He owned a forklift business, and he was quite wealthy, and multi-millionaire. And he sold it, did the big cash out, bought the big John Deere lawn tractor, and just started cutting his lawn. He became one of those lawn guys, and he had like the 5 model better John Deere than I had, and it was just kind of a joke. He retires, sells his business. 2 summers later, I see him, and I barely recognize him. He's lost 70 pounds. He looks like death, and had a heart attack. He had a heart attack and died. And if you can look it up. Well, there was one study that from General Motors that there was this guy. He's probably passed on now, I got to imagine. But his name was Dick Marshall. And he owned a big company in his family name. And he called me into his office one day, and we were doing some business. And I had started a new plastics company, and we talked about doing some business together between our two. I'd maybe supply him with some things or something. And he wanted to maybe buy some or rent some technology from me. And that's all, whatever, great. Okay, fine. And he goes, "Hey, Rob, let me tell you about this. He goes, "How long?" He had these little nuggets of wisdom. He was a sharp guy, and he was very well respected. He was the last of the old school businessmen, coat and tie every day and all that. He goes, Rob, how long does the average General Motors retiree live past retirement? So I don't know. He goes, how do you think? I think I guessed something like 15 or 20 years. He looks at me and he goes, 3 years. And I said, that can't be true. He goes, Rob, it's true. He goes, 3 years. And that I don't have the length of a study for you, and that isn't important to me. But there was a famous one from Boeing, and they had 2 sets of results out of it for 2 reasons. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. But one of the sets of results was their average retiree from this one big group of like tens of thousands of employees or something. They lived 18 months past retirement. Point being, I think there's this. So here's my point. There's, from these surveys, from what I've seen with my own eyes, and from my own personal experience, what I think happens is somewhere right around 60, we go through this massive aging transformation. And you can come out the other end of that okay or not. A lot of that's going to be genetics and how you've treated your body your whole life. But I think maybe as much as 50% of it is how you react to it and how you fight your way through it or not. Because I'm telling you, I've been doing extreme fitness my whole life. From age 12, I started weightlifting. And I know how my body reacts to things, and I realize I'm getting older and all that. But my peak strength of my entire life was at age 53. At age 53, I was a gorilla. I mean, you wouldn't have wanted to fight me at age 53, let me tell you. I'm not going to go through it, but I mean, I was lifting over 1,000 pounds on some of the exercises. Just, that's an extreme individual, okay? And I'm only 5'9". I'm telling you, I have a lot of experience in this. And the last few years, and yeah, I've had a spinal surgery a year almost for the last 4 years and all that lovely stuff. And it gets obviously harder as you get older. But there's something more going on here. It's not just the surgeries and the recovery. I think I've been going through this extreme aging process, and I've been fighting it. And I feel like I'm kind of coming out the other end a little bit. I'm back to I can do like 4 or 5 pull-ups again, which I couldn't do a pull-up at all until a month ago. So my point to you is that I think there's this extreme aging that happens around the time when we all start thinking about retiring. And if you wait too long, and if that process starts, and if you don't really dig in and fight it, I think it can really get you. And then now you're done. Now it's just easy chair, taking a walk, and you're tired. You know, you're going to take a slow walk with your dog for like a half a mile. Oh, I'm wiped out for the day, and watch TV all day, and just put some weight on, and now you're done, buddy. You know, the option is, it sucks, but you've got to learn lifelong habits, a sustainable habit of eating less, definitely eating less and less carbs at night. The carbs at night will freaking kill you. And literally and figuratively, I eat in the morning. When I first wake up, that's when I have my carbs. I like crunchy little cookies. I've bought smaller and smaller cookies, and I find I'm just as happy with them. I have like 4 of these little tiny cookies with 2 small cappuccinos. So it's like 1 large cappuccino every morning. And then I don't eat anything until around, like, it's 11:30 right now. I don't eat anything until late in the morning or early afternoon. Between 10:30 and 2, I have my main meal of the day. And then I eat again between 4 and I try not to eat after 5:30 in the evening. And that's a smaller meal, usually a salad or like a sandwich that's made of all vegetables with like a tiny bit of meat and no dressing. And I use that thin bread. There's different kinds. Those really thin breads, I figure, just volume-wise, I'm not getting as much carb. I don't know. I'm not a nutrition guy, but it's got to be less, right, if it's smaller. At night, I just sip water. I might sip a diet soda, you know, and sometimes I'll have a couple of small pieces of chocolate before bed. But I feel it stabilizes my mood before I go to sleep. You know, helps me just kind of relax and maybe have a nice dream or something, you know, about me and my beautiful motorcycle going somewhere, mountain resort with fun somewhere. I don't know. So I think if you want to do this, and if you want to fight it, the things that I've noticed are you've got to get in a good sleep pattern. You have to take vitamins and supplements. I highly recommend, highly recommend, I think it's almost mandatory, you get into ideally whey protein, or you can do soy protein. That soy boy stuff's a bunch of crap. But I think whey protein's better, but soy protein is also good. That's just my opinion. Natural meat protein, if you're a meat eater, that's great. I wouldn't eat a ton of red meat all the time. I think some red meat's probably healthy, but I'm not a nutritionist. But I eat very little beef. But I'm trying to have a meal of one meal of beef a week. When I go home, it's like death by steak with my son. We go out every other night and have a $40 steak each and a bourbon, but that's not a sustainable diet. At night, watch the carbs, ton of vegetables throughout the day, ton of water, good quality water. You're an adult. You define what's good quality water to you, but get good quality water. And then creatine. I do 5 to 7 milligrams of creatine per day. I find that works. There's studies now that are saying 10, 20 grams might be good, but I'm old. My metabolism's slower, and it's enough for me. And creatine is, I think, harder to process, so I'm just staying at the 5-ish. The other thing is I take a pre-workout now, which has like L-carnitine and L whatever. I'll try and put them on the screen. There's a list of stuff in there. Those L things I think are just essential amino acids is all they are. But I'll try to put something informative on the screen. I just use the Jay Cutler brand stuff, but whatever you're comfortable with is fine. But I would find a reputable brand. I wouldn't buy some rinky-dinky crazy stuff from Serbia or Turkey or something that you don't know what the hell is in it. I would find something, China, I would find something more reputable. And then sexual activity. And then a big hack for me is I have a slightly low thyroid, and I'm on thyroid medication. I told this once before briefly. I told the doctor, she goes, hey, you test perfect. You're at a 1.0 level. And I go and I look at the chart and it says 1 to 1.3. And I go, hey, doc, what's this 1.3 over here? Can we talk about 1.3? That sounds better than 1. Because your metabolism drives everything, absolutely everything. And I've been on they elevated my dose about 15%, so maybe I'll be 1.15 now. And I am feeling better. I sleep more, even slightly more sexually active, which I'm enjoying. And my workouts are a little better. It's all better because the metabolism, my fingernails are growing even faster. Haircuts more. I feel like my body is really kind of glandularly active, and that's very healthy. And I am on testosterone replacement therapy, and people say, oh, there's Rob, there's Reese cheating, he's a bad guy. Okay, great. I'm on the lowest dose they've ever had anybody on, and I keep saying, can we cut it down? Can we cut it down? I was truly low. I was at a testosterone level of 270. You can look that up. Any lower, I could legally sell Girl Scout cookies, okay? That is not a good, healthy level for an adult man at all. But I've cut it down twice because body fat absorbs testosterone. So if you're overweight, which most of us are at this age, try and cut your fat down. That will up your testosterone, and that's going to improve everything, buddy. Believe you me, you're going to like the results from that one. And but because I'm managing it, and I have cut it down twice with all the body fat reductions, which I'm still trying to make more of. I'm still trying to reduce more body fat. I think I can get down a couple more kilograms possibly, but I'm about it. And I'm at a testosterone level between 800 and 1,000, which is probably slightly excessive, but I'm 60, something's going to kill me anyways, and it's not. I don't think it's dangerous. No one's saying, hey, we're going to cut you down anymore. And I'm at a teeny tiny dose. And maybe we'll cut it one more time, and then maybe I'll just go off it. Sometimes that happens. You go on it, hormone replacement therapy, it stimulates your body, and then you can go off. And that I might be the poster boy for that. Anyways, that's my thought. I think this extreme aging at around 60 and around when you try and retire is all a big thing. And I think you've got to pay attention to this. Because I think it bites almost all of us in the ass. How many guys do you know that retired at the right time, are happy, and are crushing their retirement? I think it's less than 10%. I think it's a small number, and that's a scary statistic for us guys. I wrapped up all the points as far as how I see aging and how I'm personally fighting it, and I think it's successful. And I think if it can be successful for me, I think it could be successful for almost anybody because I've had all these other challenges with spinal surgery is no freaking joke at this age for sure. So if I can pull through this, I think most guys can, or at least a lot more of us could than we typically are statistically. One big takeaway from this would be that I think it's really important to not wait too long to retire, and that's sort of easy to say and super hard to do, but I was really upset, and I was really not happy with the fact that I was going to be forced to retire. It was 7 years before my plan. In that 7 years, I felt that my pension, my one pension account would have doubled. which it statistically would have. And and so I ended up with, it was about half of what I expected or was hoping for, and then of course I had to give half away or more than half, so I ended up on a quarter or 20% or something. But I mean, even if I think that if you just dialed your life way back, in around 60 or something, and even if you worked part time, because staying active is a good thing anyways, and just scaled your life back. But maybe that's just something I can do because I'm kind of a bohemian guy. I just like activities. I like walking. I like looking up at the sky, looking at trees and stuff. I spend probably more time than I should surfing the internet or something, but I try not to do that too much. And then I read, and I have been lately practicing this thing about like just not, I don't have to occupy my mind every single second of every single day. I can just relax, enjoy, watch the world go by. And then I text back and forth. I have a small handful of like pretty good friends, and there's 3 or 4 people. My son's one of them, obviously, and I text with almost daily. And that really makes me feel good, makes me feel connected to whatever else is going on in the world that's worth staying connected to these days. And then of course Fawn cares about me. I'm super important to her, so she's texting me throughout the day. So I have that little routine too. I should not underappreciate that. And so here's the punchline for me. This forced early retirement 7 years ahead of my plan, and that was critical. That was one of the biggest plans I had in my life, was this retirement date, and then here I was 7 years beforehand, that's a massive difference. I had no way to account for a 7-year early launch. There's no way to adjust for that unless you learn a foreign language and move to Thailand, in which that balanced it out perfectly. The money just equaled out about perfectly. And I don't have anybody bothering me. And it's nice, too, because with Fawn, I mean, we'll have arguments and disagreements and things, but she won't actually really, per se, really argue with me. She'll just say something I don't like, and then I'll get kind of angry about it, and we'll sort of settle it. And I have to me, it's important to be fair. I hate bullies, and I never want to be a bully. So I always say, look, but I think this is fair because of this or that. And I'll go, hey, I did this. You shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't, whatever. And we work it out. But it's not like a marriage back in the West when you have a disagreement where they kind of, I mean, only a moron would not realize that they've got you by the short hairs, because if you want a divorce, you've got to give up most of your wealth, and you're going to lose 10 of your friends. You're going to get a social hit. You're going to all these things, and they all women, I'm sure, realize this just like we do. And and I'm not saying women are bad. That's not my point at all. It's just human nature. If you're in a partnership with a guy and you've got the license to operate the bar and to sell liquor and all that, a lot of times the guy that's the license holder is a real dick because he just doesn't have to be that nice. Now, there are really cool people out there that when they have an advantage, they don't beat people over the head with it. Those are called cool people, and those make great friends. But there aren't that many of them compared to all the other ones. I'll just tell you, for the people that follow along, just to kind of see how I'm doing, this has worked out fantastic for me. This has been physically the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, to go through the last 4 years of aging, have, I don't know, a total of like 5 surgeries in this time or something, and praise God, it's finally done. I think I'm finally done with it. Jeez, I'm so surgeried out, I can't even tell you. And now I'm starting to slowly feel better. Now I'm fragile. I know that my spine isn't the same as a natural one, and it's just waiting to grind itself into hamburger, so it needs another surgery. That's like what it sort of like wants, And I don't want that. But fortunately for me, I think I've got enough experience with all this physical stuff. I think I can manage it. I think I can be careful and do this correctly. I hope so. I've got a big meeting with the doc coming up, my final clearance for full activity. And I want to go through all my normal stretch routine stuff there in his little office. I don't care I don't care how stupid I look. I'm going to go through all my normal stretches that I used to do, and I'm going to have him say good, not good, because I'm not going to get into the details. You don't need to hear all that. But I mean, I just don't want to grind this brand new spine all back up. If I'm really careful, this could last me my whole life, and I know it could. I know statistically it doesn't. And I want to be that one guy again. Anyhow, so that's it. That's aging and retirement. Don't age, but do retire, and retire soon. Take care. Hey, quiet Sunday morning. Just me standing in front of my gate, which the stainless steel guy fixed. The steel delivery truck hit my gate. I measured every gate in the village was 3 to like 3.2 meters wide. I made mine 4.4, so I wouldn't have any problems. Freaking guy smacked my gate. He dented the shit out of the stainless. So I had the guy come out. You can't even tell. I mean, that guy's an artist with stainless steel, I'll tell you. There's all the primer, the rusty colored, I picked out the rust colored primer. So we're gonna have 2 nice big windows right here. I think no other windows up top until we maybe get up into the triangular section of the roof, maybe throw something up there, but see how much light is inside the structure as we get up. You don't want to let in too much heat, but you want it obviously bright and airy. You can see how much I like windows because that's my library. This is going to be double doors. There's the famous hallway, which I'm comfortable with. These windows are going to have minimal views. It's just views to her aunt's house next door, which again, I really get along well with her. This is the private door, which will get narrower, between my library and the bedroom. The bedroom just goes back to those blue pipes, so maybe I'll throw some dimensions on the screen, but it's a nice sized bedroom, I think. The ceiling goes way high. This is 2/3 the final height. It actually goes up from there. It's going to be honking tall. So there's the garage there. This is the living room. Big wide Harley-Davidson wide door there. In the future, I may build up an elevated garden and ultimately park my motorcycle in the living room. In shorter term, I've kind of decided to spend that money on the garage, maybe pay for a door and windows on it and enclose it, dust-proof it. Have just a nice garage. I would say man cave, but the whole house is my man cave, so I don't do that man cave shit anymore. Here's a good view of how tall that is. And again, that's the height of all the walls. That becomes the short height. The ceiling is sloped rather aggressively, so that wall goes up another 1/3, or half again as much. Sorry. Now we're onto the sheet block and the bathrooms and rooms that aren't insulated and partitions and things because it doesn't matter. It just saves a little bit of money, and the red block is actually structurally stronger. Not that we really need it. These columns are insane. I spec'd all the columns. They're way overkill, but it just gave me peace of mind that nobody could fuck this up. Sorry to say it. You never say it, but otherwise I would almost say I dare you. All right, here's the back door that Fawn wanted. We've decided to enclose this more. She wanted this enclosed more. I said, fine. Yeah, we'll keep the heat down in here, which is fair to her. She's busy. She works all the time. A good Isan girl, which she is, works very hard. They're working all the time. It's the scammers that are relaxed. I talk about that in my book. You get a girl that's relaxed, no money problems, easy breezy, doesn't work, has the newest iPhone. Gee, I wonder what she does for a living. Yeah. Boys' room is here from the bathroom forward to, that's the boys' bedroom back there. So, should be just fine. It's a good size. I don't want it insanely big. I don't need them like as adults living in here and moving their wives in and shit. Which, you know, they'd probably do if I paid for everything, right? Again, legally, all I did is I took the most bullshit minimal thing possible, but I do have a signed and witnessed by the village elder, signed by the village elder, document saying I've got exclusive right to use the property for the next 30 years or until I die, whichever comes first. Hopefully it's the 30 part. I do have the legal right to kick everybody out if they piss me off, but not that that's the intent. Why would I do that? Everything in the beginning, the basis for starting a negotiated price and all that, all 100% is based on the square meters. They go on a rate per square meter. You'll negotiate the rate, and then you can negotiate a discount off the total, et cetera, et cetera. But everything starts with the square meter rate, which is interesting because my home, as designed, I designed it myself. Believe me, I understand all this. Is 3 stories at the peak. I'm paying for 1 because that's the square meter. They are charging me for the loft up there, which is completely fair. So if you want a taller home and more elaborate in some detail, you don't necessarily pay a lot for that. It's the opposite of America, where labor is just a killer and the materials aren't so bad. Here it's really the opposite. Everything is based on materials. I would have used the materials a little more wisely in some ways, but in all, this isn't bad. Okay, but it's reasonable. It's eminently reasonable. I deliberately only come here once or twice a week because I don't want to aggravate myself. I work through Fawn and her dad, and there they are doing their little cooey, which is a conversation. And they're going through it. And I've been invited in, so there's something going on, so I got to go. Okay, my pen dry. Palm through it. Anyways, my library. What would be my favorite room? And these kind of gun slot windows here were deliberately set up to not let in a lot of sunlight and a lot of. I don't like the late evening sun. I like the morning sun. I don't like the evening sun. And there's a big difference. I have a preference, and I know that. Anyways, and then again, there's my view out the front, which will be nice tree line over the rice fields. No houses. Pleasant view over my wall. I designed the wall to be at a certain view height. Tent. Kun Pa set up a tent on his own. He's camping here because he's worried about people stealing the steel. It's really his idea. I never have a problem with him. He's never asked for anything. I did eventually, Kun Med did eventually ask after he's helped for a while about some things. Now, like I mentioned before, I promised 2 gold baht when this is all done. Cost me $2,000 US, or roughly. Breeze test number 1. The house is here now. I'm standing in front of the house for the first time. The structure is up to affect the wind pattern here for the first time. And I do have this nice breeze coming from the northeast in the winter, which was what I was hoping for. We'll see how that goes as the house builds up. I think it's slightly less breeze than I have at my apartment, unfortunately, but I have a killer breeze there. That's hard to beat. I was hoping, greedily hoping it'd be the same, and that may not likely happen, I'd say, at this point. But it's been extremely distracting, to put it mildly, about building a house in Thailand. It's going better than any other story about any other foreigner I've ever heard of building a house. That's like saying you've had the least stressful divorce. It's not quite as stressful as a divorce, but it's up there. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. If you've watched this far, please consider hitting like and subscribe.